Hi, my name is Mark, and today we're going to be talking about health concerns amongst adults that are incarcerated. So today we're going to be talking about vulnerable population, again, of adults that are incarcerated, either in jail or prison. We're going to start talking about the incarceration to residential population in 2019. So that's those that are incarcerated versus those that are not. Then we're going to move on to contributing factors and their impacts on needs or health needs of those individuals. And then we're going to end with specific health concerns in that population. So just a few statistics. In Cache County, where I live, 0.14% of the population was incarcerated in the year 2019. That means 1 in every 7,127 people were incarcerated in this county. If we compare that to Utah State had 1% of the state's population incarcerated during that year, and that is 1 in every 96 people who are incarcerated. Now, if we jump to the United States, it's actually not that much higher. I actually thought it would be quite a bit higher, but it's only 1.5% of the U.S. Population was incarcerated during the year 2019, and that is 1 in every 66 people were incarcerated. It doesn't sound that much when you first look at the 1.5%, but 1 in every 66 people can add up over time. Now let's compare the percentage difference between Cache County and the United States, and it actually is a 1/100th% difference, which can be a big difference. So, social determinants of health, when we looked up Healthy People 2030, some of the barriers that were included for this population, one being the economic stability. In the economic stability, because these individuals are incarcerated, they actually are unable to hold a job. So therefore, it can be a barrier just because they aren't earning money. They're not helping support themselves. They're also not helping to support the economy. They're actually living off of the taxpayers' money. And this also poses a possible problem for them because when they are released, it's hard to find a job because at that point they are considered a felon. Social and community context. Incarcerated people don't really have a relationship with family, friends, coworkers, or other people in the community while they are incarcerated. This aspect of social determinants could cause problems to the individual's health and mental well-being because of the lack of that support while they are in there. And then another one, a neighborhood and built environment. While incarcerated, it is hard to be in an environment that promotes health and safety away from secondhand smoke, or when you're around people that are displaying dangerous behaviors that could potentially decrease the quality of life for that individual. Specific concerns that I wanted to point out were those that are incarcerated are likely to be exposed to infectious diseases such as hepatitis, especially hepatitis C, tuberculosis, AIDS or HIV, sexually transmitted infections or diseases, MRSA, and stress-related illnesses. Also, family and friend relationships are difficult to have while somebody is incarcerated. Most people who enter a facility or that are incarcerated, if they are married at the time of incarceration, have a higher chance of divorce during or after imprisonment because of that incarceration. And then the last one, effects of incarceration on employment and economic stability for an individual are substantial, as we just talked about a minute ago. Root causes also are persons incarcerated already, or those that are already, those that are that enter into incarceration, a lot of them already have a transmittable disease. And so therefore, due to the close quarters, overcrowded facilities, it's easy to spread some of those diseases. Other reasons are they share personal items, like hygiene items. They also share facilities that are grounds for spreading that. Another reason, poor circulation of air, especially for airborne viruses or illnesses that could be spread just through the air. Poor health care and lack of knowledge is another one that could be the root cause to poor health in this population, along with unprotected intercourse practices, tattooing, piercing, and drug use with sharing dirty needles. Now, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the bottom one is definitely met because the physiological aspect, which is your food, water, shelter, things like that to keep the inmates alive are definitely met by the facility. Security of body and belongings are met most of the time with limited resources. Morality and health, of course, as well. Now, the third one is it may be partially met. Love and belonging with friendship, family, and sexual intimacy. Usually it's not met. If it is, it's on a limited basis, and it's met by those who, like family that are coming to see, or friends that are coming to see that individual while they're incarcerated. The next one, or the top one, self-esteem and confidence, most likely are unmet just because you're in a facility and a population where it's hard to get along with other people, and a lot of them have criminal intent. So the bottom two tiers of Maslow's needs, as we can see, are fully met, mostly due by the facility providing those. And the likely health outcomes for individuals in this population increases the risk of premature mortality due to the chronic disease acquired while in facilities and the way that they're spread. Now, communicable diseases or infections. This population is definitely at a higher risk for communicable diseases. However, only because of the population that they're in. Now, if they were out in the general public, it would actually be pretty balanced off as far as receiving or being able to communicate or spread those diseases. But again, it's due to the close contact and overcrowding of the inmates in those facilities. Some of the things that can be spread, like we talked about, is tuberculosis, sexually transmitted infections. COVID-19 is a new recent one, of course, that can definitely be spread, especially if you're not doing social distancing or wearing a mask. AIDS and hepatitis C, as we talked about. Some of the ways that they talked about helping to prevent these is testing newly incarcerated persons when they first come in for any disease, whether it is a communicable disease such as COVID-19, or if anything else. Treating them when they come in is probably the best things that they could do, and then repeating those tests throughout the person's stay while they're in the facility, and once again testing them before they're released back out to the public. And from those tests, again, recommending 14-day isolation period for things such as COVID-19 to let it take its course so that can no longer be spread. And then proper PPE or personal protective equipment for employees that are working at the facility as well, so that they don't take that home to their families. Now, non-communicable diseases or infections. One thing that it talked about, or that I researched, is increased body mass on those that are incarcerated, just solely due to the fact that they don't have resources or access to facilities where they can exercise and get the exercise that they need, and pretty much they're in a facility not doing much and eating, and so therefore that increases their BMI. And then the leading causes of death that they have found are heart disease, cancer, liver disease, and suicide. And roughly 2/3 of all deaths come about from conditions that the inmate took in with them, not that they contracted it in the facility, but that they already had in the facility and it got worse. 89% of inmate deaths were caused, or 89% of inmate deaths were causes such as heart disease, cancer, liver failure, and AIDS, and that's 80% of that. The other 9% is suicide, being 6%, homicide, alcohol, and drug use being the other 3%. Now, inmates are at risk for death or bodily injury just from other inmates. Unfortunately, that's something that, as much as you try to work out, it can't always be stopped. But there's also an increase in the chance that an inmate may hurt another inmate just to protect themselves or set boundaries with those inmates so that they, in future times, don't get attacked. Separation of inmates is one of the ways that they, especially if they suspect that someone may be attacked, is a way that they try and protect each other from each other. Seclusion of an inmate who is known to have attacked other inmates is another way. And regular, random or selected searches of inmates' quarters and common areas for weapons is another way. And then screening of all incoming and outgoing correspondences such as mail, email, packages, etc. And there's my references. Hopefully you learned something today about the population of those that are incarcerated. Thank you.